From the studios of Foxborough Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jared Craig, and thank you for joining us for a very special edition of Around Foxborough, brought to you, of course, over Zoom today. We are live and on our various media platforms. We have some guests with us from the Marilyn Rodman Center for the Performing Arts, or Performing Arts Center, excuse me. Before I introduce them, just full disclosure, I want to acknowledge that I am on the board of directors, but I will be asking some questions to them today about the operations during this crisis of the COVID-19. And I think they have an interesting perspective to share about this crisis, about what's been happening in town, what's been happening with the theater in particular, and how we move forward. So I want to introduce to you today, we have Emily Garvin, who is the Executive Director of the Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center. We have Jim DeBellis, who is the President. We have Rachel Calabrese, the Vice President of the Board of Directors. And we also have Catherine Miller, who's a volunteer who started GoFundMe to help support the Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center. So my first question, Emily, I just wanted to ask you really quick. Right now, we've been seeing in the last few weeks that the world is flocking to Netflix, TV, and it seems like the arts feel more obviously vital now, more than ever in my lifetime. It's nice to see people acknowledge that. So why do you think theater is important, and why should it continue to exist after the COVID-19 when everyone is able to go back out into the world? Should people still go to the theater, and why?
Oh, absolutely. I think arts are one of the most important things that we can offer to people. Just like you said, right now, everyone is turning to the arts. They're turning to entertainment to help them get through this time, not only just to entertain them, but also to provide some light. People are watching comedies, people are using that and reading books and listening to music to get them through this time that's really scary and unsure. So people really do turn to the arts in times of crisis, and afterwards, people are going to continue to turn to the arts to get that entertainment, but also to enrich their own lives. And it's a really great way to go out with your friends and your family to do something together that's productive. So I think that even though the arts are taking a very huge hit right now during this crisis, that the arts will absolutely be something that people turn to afterwards as well.
Great. Thanks for that. And Catherine, I want to turn to you. So you started this GoFundMe page. Could you talk a little bit about what it is, why you started it, and maybe your affiliation with the Marilyn Rodman Center?
Yeah, so I became involved in the Marilyn Rodman Center probably about a year ago, and I wanted to be involved in the Foxborough community. I lived here for about 7 years. I have two kids who are, one's in the Foxborough public schools, another one's going to be going in next year, and then a third child who's 2. And I really want to sink my teeth into something in Foxborough that would make a difference, that impacts the community in a really large way. And the Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center absolutely does that. So I've always loved the arts. I've always been involved in the arts. It's been with me through my entire life. It's given me the confidence to go out and get a job when I turned into an adult, to talk to people, to communicate. And I see it doing it here. So when this crisis hit, I thought, what can I do to help this town? I know that there have been so many things that have been advocated for our wait staff, for our restaurants, for our nurses, for our public health officials. But what we really needed to do was look at this small gem that makes a big impact. So I put together a GoFundMe page. I talked to the board and said, what's a goal that makes sense? We worked together and we put it out there, and it's doing well. And I'm really impressed and surprised and excited that the community has come together and given in such a big way in a short time. In 2 weeks, we raised over $3,000, which is awesome.
That's great. I noticed you have a goal of $15,000. Maybe Jim or Rachel, could you talk about why that $15,000 number is so important, and what you might use that money for?
Sure. You want me to answer that, Rachel? Or you're comfortable?
Yeah, no, okay, you can.
So first of all, Jared, thanks for reaching out to us and putting this together. A lot of the things that we do are community related, and it's just nice for the community to start reaching back to us. So the opportunity to do this, and even Catherine setting this up, someone from the outside that is a volunteer coming and saying, we want to do this for the theater. You don't know how much that means to us. So we're a 501c3, we're a nonprofit, and a lot of theaters, they struggle to even break even. We're at the point where we were making our monthly payments, and that was victorious for us, because for months and months, we're kind of running in the arrears a little bit. So we brought it up to a good point. The community has been very supportive to us, with the zoning for our sign, for the liquor license, when we brought in Emily, I think there's 5 or 6 full-time volunteers and people that come, and some of them are on the payroll, to kind of turn the theater around. So we were in a phenomenal place up until the coronavirus. We had months of stuff booked, and it was like the domino effect. I think the YMCA was the first one, and rightfully so, that backed out, and then the rest just kind of said, yeah, we need to stop. So we completely shut down. So if you look at our, from a business perspective, with no income coming in, we can't pay our bills. So we've got a little bit in savings, but a week to us, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, it's devastating. So this GoFundMe came at a great time, and we were struggling a little bit to say, all right, we want to reach out, and to be honest with you, we weren't going to do it because we didn't know where this was going to go. Families were, in tough shape, not knowing what's going to happen, and who are we to ask for people to donate. But when people start coming to us saying how the arts are important and the building's important and keeping it going, and it kind of really speaks volumes for the need of Foxborough in the region to kind of come together on something like this.
That's great. Emily, maybe could you talk a little bit about what the money can be used? Is it just operating costs, or are you going to be able to make any improvements to the theater or update anything in this dark time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dark time meaning the lights being off, not that is
both, I guess. Yeah.
Sure.
The $15,000 goal is what we sat down and we looked at. What do we need just to keep the building open? This is all of our bills, all of our operating expenses. Anything past that $15,000 can go towards different upgrades. It's definitely an ambitious goal, but we've already raised $3,000 of that, and I think that we can absolutely hit our goal of $15,000. There's so many programs that we can continue to offer once we open our doors again, and any influx of money that we get between now and when we open will be put in towards getting some new acts in here, getting an education program started, starting to do more in-house productions. So we'll be continuing to do that, as well as making upgrades to the facility.
That's great. Oh, that's awesome to hear. Catherine, I have a question for you. So I've been looking at the GoFundMe page, and I saw there was one donation for $250, which is great, and there were some as low as $10. If I can only give 10, is that something you're looking for? Are you looking for small donations? 15,000 sounds like such a big number, but does $10 help?
I think it definitely sounds like a big number when you think of just the whole number. But when you think of all the little individual donations that could come in, that could add up just like that. I mean, all the number of people in Foxborough who walk through those doors, through the entire Tri-County Valley, like all these people who come in, that would add up really quick. So something I had said early on is that if you were going to see a show, if you were going to see something this spring between, let's say, February and June, please put that, if you can, please put that ticket money to the GoFundMe page. Please help sustain the theater through this time by just that $10 donation, a $5 donation. I had a friend who, honestly, I haven't spoken to her in years, who I did high school theater with in Virginia, who saw it and who shared it across her network. And from her network, they shared it on. Now, this is the great thing about social media. This is the great thing about what we can do electronically these days. If you can give $5, please do. If you can give $250, please do. But if you can't, that's fine. Share it out. We all know someone who knows someone. We all know someone who's been impacted by the arts. We all know someone who has started in the arts. We all know someone who's performed on stage. So I think the message is every little bit counts, even if that's not monetary at this point. Every little bit counts. And we're seeing that, which is amazing.
Great. And I should ask, while we're talking about it, if people are watching right now and they want to donate, how would they find it?
Yeah, so they can definitely go to the Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center Facebook page. It's all over there. And I believe it's going to be shown at the end of the segment, but if not, the Facebook page is the way to go.
Great. And that $15,000 goal, I know there are some fundraising websites out there where you don't get any of the money if you don't raise your goal. Is this one of those websites, or will you get the money that you've raised no matter what?
No, thank goodness it's not. GoFundMe is one of the best platforms for this fundraising. We get, even in terms of the return amount, they do take the tiniest portion for their overhead costs, but it is one of the smallest out there, which is why GoFundMe is so popular. So you're saying that I think they take maybe like 3 cents to the dollar. They take something very, very, very small.
Excellent. And oops, sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
I think, Rachel, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's waived right now if you choose to waive it. The GoFundMe is not taking that if you choose not to.
So there is a bar up on the top. They're taking like donation for their staff or whatever the case may be. You can actually move that or alter that, but so you get to control it right now. Absolutely.
That's great.
That's great. Rachel, I know you.
More reason to donate.
Sorry, can you say that again, Catherine?
Even more reason to donate.
Yes, absolutely. Rachel, I know you're really tapped into the community. Have you noticed a lot of these GoFundMe sites, or are there other businesses in town that are doing something similar to this that you're aware of?
Yeah, there's a lot out there that I've been seeing. I will say that I think it's just the power of community and the power of social media right now, to the point that Jim was making. Right now, we know everybody's in question, doesn't know what's going on for the future. And when Catherine came to us and said she wanted to put this GoFundMe out there, we were like, great. The way that so many people have been helping small businesses is just to reach out on social media and say, a restaurant or whatever, can you support them? And it seems like everyone jumps on and says, I'm grabbing dinner from them tonight. And it's amazing. And I feel like that is the way we'll keep each other afloat. And Catherine did that for us, like in such a professional way. Just kind of, we need it. And we want to be here when all of this ends, and we want to continue to bring you such great shows and concerts and if you can help us, that would be great. But it was great for somebody to do that for us, like we've been able to do for a lot of the local businesses in the community.
Yeah, that's something I was going to ask you about, Jim, too. I know that I believe you have an office right uptown on the Common, and I was wondering if, since the theater's reopened, it feels to me as a relatively new Foxborough resident that the Common in general seems to have been the focus of a sort of rebirth or renaissance there. And I was wondering how much of an impact do you feel like the theater has had on that rebuilding, and where do you see it going from there?
Yeah, that's been probably over the last year and a half, maybe more than I ever remember in downtown, talking about revitalization. And the catalyst kind of started with the old fire station, what's going to come in. There's a need, there's a desire, there's an ambition to bring foot traffic to the area. So people walking, enjoying it, going to a restaurant. We've always envisioned, seeing a show and going to a restaurant. For the short time that we've been doing this, we've had relationships with different restaurants in the area where we'll say, all right, if you come to the show at 7, if you go to Union Straw or Foxborough House of Pizza, a certain percentage will go to the theater, and it's a good relationship. So when you go around the Common and you see cars parked there and people walking, it gives a sense of community. And then maybe another business will open, and another business will open. The New England downtowns are going away so quickly because of the Route 1 mentality, where there's big boxes and drive to big movie theaters. A 100-year-old building with an old theater that you can walk to, and then walk to another business, and then walk home if you wanted to, is far and in between these days. So I think people realize it, and it's one of those things. How many people say, I loved Aubuchon, I wish it was still here, but then how many people went to Aubuchon rather than a big box? You don't know it's gone until it's gone, and then you regret it. So we're trying to dig our heels in and make it work for everybody.
I hear you. Thanks for that perspective. I know there's nothing better to me than, those Thursday nights in the summer going to the farmer's market and then popping in the Orpheum, Marilyn Rodman, saying hi to Emily, and then I'm like, Union Straw just opened up. I want more of that. I love that energy and that excitement. So thanks for everything you're doing to help make that happen and revitalize the downtown. I think you're all helping that. So thank you on behalf of the whole town. Emily, a question for you. Is there anything that that you guys, you folks at the Orpheum Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center are looking for besides gifts, of financial gifts? Is there anything we can do, or are there anything that any needs that you have that aren't being met right now?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many ways that people can help. I think exposure is a great way. Like Catherine said, if you're not able to give monetary donation, just by sharing our story on Facebook, maybe even just posting about what it means to you personally. I know that is something that kind of generates more donations from family and friends if you aren't able to do that. But also, even if you don't share the GoFundMe specifically and you just share your stories about how much you love this theater and how people can reach out to us to support us in other ways, definitely go ahead and share your stories. I have my own. Everybody on this call has their own story about why that theater means so much to them. Another way that people can really help us out, especially if you are a business owner, if you want to create some sort of corporate sponsorship or partnership with us, like we had talked about with Union Straw, that we had come up with those relationships with businesses prior to this happening. And we would love to establish those for when we reopen again. So we can start working on that now and start working on ways that we can collaborate with other businesses and other organizations to mutually help each other. And then I think the biggest way is, when we are finally able to reopen our doors, give us your patriotism. Come in and come see the shows, get all of your friends together. People are going to, once it's safe to go out and do things in big groups again, want to do those things and come support a local organization and do that to a small theater that is nonprofit and has worked so hard to get to where we are. Just come see our shows and come support us in that way.
I love that. That's easy to do. And I'm sure you guys are planning a big, grand reopening party once we're all back and can see each other face to face again. So one question I have also is, I love the new sign. It looks awesome. My Facebook friend Becca Leonard just got a nice shout out on there. How do you get your name out there? If I want my name up there, or my, wish happy birthday to my daughter or something, are you auctioning off spaces on the sign?
Real quick, I just want to say, that sign coming was perfect timing. Right now, we don't have any events, so we've made you an event. We have just decided that we were going to thank every people who have donated to us. We want to share your jokes and share your inspirational sayings. People who have been donating just love seeing their name up there. So it's been really good. And we have some exciting stuff coming up too. I don't know, Catherine, but I'm so excited about just everybody's names up there in lights.
We do. We have an exciting announcement that we would love to share with you, Jared. It's something that is it's really meaningful because it speaks to community coming together. Jason Evans of Guaranteed Rate, which is a mortgage company right here in Foxborough, they're on Payson Road. They have committed to donating $2,000 starting today, matching dollar for dollar, $2,000, any donations that come in starting today through April 30th. So that means if I go ahead right now and I make a $25 donation, Guaranteed Rate, Jason Evans is going to match that dollar for dollar. So that is all the more reason for our friends to give, and we cannot thank them enough for this partnership. It's a good story of a father of two who has a business in Foxborough who just wants to help. And my conversations with him have been phenomenal because he realizes that $2,000 may not be a lot in the business community, but to our theater, that is a lot, and that helps a lot. That's going to help an extra month keep the doors open. So please, if you can, and if you're inspired to do so, share with your friends, donate today. That money is matched dollar for dollar.
That's amazing. Well, I hope you put his name up on the sign for a whole week. That's incredible. Wow. So I know no one really knows when all this is going to end and when we're going to be able to get back face to face. If this continues to be shut down past, I think May 4th, I believe is when we're due to go back to school. But I don't know about theaters and businesses. Is there plans to do another fundraiser in the works? If this one's successful, should we expect to be asked again, or do you think that this will carry us through, or carry you through this tumultuous time? Maybe Emily or Catherine?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a very unknown time. Being a theater puts us in a little bit of a different situation than maybe some other businesses, because we do have large crowds come to our organization. So we might have more restrictions put on us than we're expecting when we can all come out of our houses again. So it's really difficult to tell what kind of fundraisers we're going to be able to do once this is all passed, whether or not it's going to have to be something virtual, whether or not we can have a big opening party and have tons of bands and have everyone come out to the theater. It's all unknown, but what we do know is that we'll be getting the word out there, and we'll be continuing to try to get ourselves through these next few months. Hopefully we won't need to do another fundraiser if we're able to get by from this program, from the GoFundMe page and from generous donations from the public. Hopefully we'll be getting some federal aid and some grants. And if we can do that, we would love to be able to give back to you all instead of asking for more from you by offering an exciting event and tickets to things in the future.
And if I can just add to that, the funding landscape of the nonprofits, especially the arts community, is strong. And National Endowment of the Arts are starting their campaign to raise money to give grants out to organizations like ours that are suffering during this time. So there are resources that are becoming readily available. And this fundraiser is to help us keep the staff going so they can continue to look into those other funding opportunities. I think the last thing we want to do is keep going back and asking the community. We want to provide to you, like Emily said. So we're spending our time really looking at those different avenues of revenue that can come in. And the good thing about being in the arts is that everyone here and everyone who works for theater is super creative. So I think you can expect some creative things down the line.
Awesome. I like that little teaser. So one of your main revenue streams, if not the main revenue stream, I would assume, is ticket sales. If I purchased tickets before you shut down for an event that was supposed to be happening, let's say this weekend, will I be getting my money back, or are people asking you for refunds? How are you handling that, Emily, if you're the right person to ask?
That's an excellent question. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering that. Right now, because we aren't completely sure when we're going to be opening up again, it's hard for us to release complete reschedule dates. We've been working with all the different organizations of the different shows, and as of right now, everybody is on board to get a new date in there. So whether or not it will happen in June or September, it will happen as much as we can make possible. So anyone that bought tickets to an event can transfer their ticket over to that event. You can request a refund, or you could just leave it as a donation to the theater and help us get through this time. So if you would like to request a refund, you can email boxoffice@orpheum.org. If you decide to do nothing, we'll contact you when the new date comes for your event and see if you want to transfer your ticket over. Or, and if you don't want to do that, you can just consider a donation to the theater. That would help us greatly.
Oh, that's great. And in terms of the shows that have been postponed, do you know if you'll have a chance to reschedule all of them, or are you saying you're still not sure?
Yeah, many of them actually, we have dates in the schedule. We're waiting to make an announcement because we just don't know when we're going to open up again. Some of our rescheduled dates have actually already continued to get pushed back because we've had to keep rescheduling them. So we want to make sure that we are, officially releasing correct information. We don't have to keep updating our patrons. So thank you everyone for being patient with that. We will put the new dates out there as soon as we have confirmation that we can be open.
Awesome. Thanks. We have just a few minutes left. Thank you so much for your time. I know I'm a theater person. For me, theater is about community. It's about empathy. It's about shared experiences in a room with other people, observing the same story together. I'd like to ask each of you in your own time, if you could tell me, why is theater important to you? Why is the Orpheum Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center important to you? And why make a case for why it should be saved? Why should people at home who might have never even been there and only driven by, why should they care about this place, and why should they fight to save it?
I'll go first.
Thanks,
all right.
Jim.
So I got to say, I've got 3 kids. None of them were really into theater. I wasn't into theater when I was growing up. What drives me for the theater is having that available for the community. If you look at, since we've opened up the doors, we've had little kids from all the different schools come in. Laura Canfield's right in the middle of Guys and Dolls, which is the first senior extravaganza of senior adults coming in and doing performances. We've had special needs. We've had rock concerts. And you don't see that often. And to put that in the middle of the community, supported by the community, that's what I like to see. That's what's important to me. And I see continuing that for anyone that wants to use it, if we can work it out.
I'll go next. I grew up in theater, loved it in grammar school and high school and continued in college. None of my children are in theater. They are more in sports. However, the first reason to get involved for me was community. I loved being able to save something that is cherished by so many people in the community. I love that common, and I love Uptown, and I love that so many people are so happy. Then my second kind of driving force over why I feel like it should be saved is the impact that we're making on children in our community. They have a home, they have somewhere that they can come and do plays and musicals and everything at. They've enjoyed it, everything from the FFE variety show to just about everything. I've gone to Beatles concerts there, and there's whole families just enjoying Beatles music. It's how wonderful it is to have there. It's so important. And just even with, sorry, I'm going on a little bit, but even with Marilyn Rodman intent in mind, we've been able to give tickets to so many children and so many families who would never be able to see performances like that. That is what I feel like is something I'm so proud of the theater for, and I think it's just it's amazing that we have this in our community.
I'll go next. I think it's important to keep the integrity of the town through such a historic place. I think a lot of people don't know that the Orpheum, now the Marilyn Rodman Performing Arts Center, was an original vaudeville playhouse. So this is a piece of history that has just impacted generations of people. So that's important. On a personal note, my 4-year-old, who's now 5-year-old, so when she was 4, she was going to perform with Elite Dance for a holiday concert. And the excitement on her face, I will always remember this. She stood in front of the theater and goes, "Mommy, tonight's such a big night. I get to perform at the Pink Theater." And it was just like such a special moment for me as a parent to say, wow, like I am in this town where I can give her such an amazing resource and opportunity. And she was confident and she was happy and she wasn't scared because it was such a big deal. I think that theater is great for so many reasons, but this is not only a place for musicals and plays. Like Rachel said, we have comedians come in, we have live bands, we have trivia night. So it is a place for everyone. It is an inclusive space. And I think that's an important distinction. It's a place where everyone is welcome. And I think that is personally why I feel it needs to stay. And I know the doors will reopen.
Yeah, it's funny when you asked that question, my mind went in like 8 million directions on why theater is important and why this theater is important. So it took me a few minutes to kind of hone in and figure out exactly what I wanted to say. I did my very first show ever at 6 years old at the Orpheum Theater on that stage. And obviously I'm there now today, working with the theater. It has changed my life in so many ways, not just doing things with this particular theater, but with every other organization. I've started 2 different organizations in the performing arts field. One's called Inspiration. We've had over 200 kids come through these programs between Inspiration and my special needs program, Sharing the Spotlight. And from those kids, so many of them have actually gone on and moved to New York and have gotten professional jobs and gone to college for musical theater. And even those that didn't always come back and say the things that they learned through these programs help them in every other aspect of their life, with job interviews, with college, with giving presentations, with confidence, friendships. So it all stems back to that one performance that took place when I was 6 years old on that stage. And I think about how many people who perform on that stage can have an impact in their lives, and then it just spreads. And Rachel said it best, it's just a complete community. Community theater in every way, shape, and form embellishes community. There's so many different people that have a part in it, even if they're not a part of the show on stage. They might be backstage, they might be in concessions, they might be in tech, they might be handing out programs, but so many people can get involved and have a piece of that art that is on stage, and that art takes place on our stage. And I think that if we didn't have this in our community, I wouldn't be who I was today, and so many other people are in that same boat. And I think it's just so important that we have it here forever.
That's awesome. What great answers. Thank you all so much. And thanks for giving your time for this. I think it's so important that we have this great community resource. And I'm always, as an audience member, always so proud of the work that I get to see at the theater. And I'm really glad that you're doing this. Catherine, thank you for starting that GoFundMe. Please give my personal thanks to, what's his name, Jason Evans?
Jason Evans with Guaranteed Rate.
Oh, Guaranteed Rate. Thank you so much to him. And I hope that people who are watching today might go and donate and be inspired to make sure that this theater makes it through this, because I think it's incredibly important. So I want to thank again Emily Garvin, Jim DeVellis, Rachel Calabrese, and Catherine Miller for joining us today. My name's Jared Craig. Thank you for watching Around Foxborough.
Thank you, Jared.
Jared, thank you.
Thank you.